Hi all, in today's session we are going to handle the topic torque equation and torque slip characteristics of a three-phase induction motor. This is a very important topic. In the case of a three-phase induction motor, just like in the case of transformer, we will be able to write the relation for transformation ratio, that is K is equal to E2 by E1. The only difference is in the case of transformer, this E2 and E1 were induced EMF in secondary and primary, whereas in the case of an induction motor, this E2 and E1 are rotor induced EMF and stator induced EMF. From the standard relation of induced EMF, we very well know that the induced EMF is directly proportional to the magnetic flux, that is E is equal to 4.445 Ft. So from that relation it's very clear that E1 is actually the stator EMF, which is actually directly proportional to the magnetic flux. Since from this relation we can easily write that E2 is equal to K E1, we can very well say that E2 is also directly proportional to the magnetic flux. Just keep this proportionality relation in your mind because this is very important for the derivation of torque equation developed. In the case of a three-phase induction motor, the torque developed is actually depending on three parameters. The first one is it is directly proportional to the magnetic flux, that portion of the magnetic flux which is linking with the rotor conductors to induce an EMF in them. The second one is torque developed is directly proportional to the current which is flowing through the rotor circuit under running condition, which we usually represent as I2R. And this developed torque is also proportional to the power factor in the rotor circuit. So combining all this, we will be able to write that torque is directly proportional to phi. Phi is that portion of the flux which is linking with the rotor conductors to induce an EMF in them. I2R is actually the current which is flowing through the rotor circuit under running condition. We have already obtained the relation for them. Similarly, cos phi 2 is actually the power factor in the rotor circuit. Now making the substitution for I2R and cos phi 2, and instead of phi we will be writing it as E2 because phi is directly proportional to E2. So altogether we can write torque is directly proportional to E2. Instead of I2R we will make the substitution SE2 divided by square root of R2 square plus SX2 square. And instead of power factor, that is from the rotor circuit, we will be able to draw its impedance triangle. So from the impedance triangle we can say that its power factor cos phi 2 is equal to R2 divided by square root of R2 square plus SX2 square. So making all the substitutions, so we will be able to obtain the relation as torque is directly proportional to SE2 square R2 divided by R2 square plus SX2 square. In order to remove this proportionality, we will be using a proportionality constant. Then we will be able to obtain the relation for developed torque as torque is equal to KSE2 square R2 divided by R2 square plus SX2 square. It has been proved that the value of K is same as that of 3 by 2 pi ns, whereas the small ns is actually the synchronous speed in RPS. It can be easily obtained from the synchronous speed in RPM by simply dividing it with 60. So this is the relation for torque developed under running condition. In order to obtain the relation for starting torque, that is torque developed at standstill condition, we have to just make the substitution of S as 1. So in this relation, while making the substitution of S as 1, we will be able to obtain the starting torque relation. See, there is one S term in the denominator also. So here also you have to put S as 1. Wherever S are there, you have to make that value of S as 1. Then you will be able to obtain the starting torque as K E2 square R2 divided by R2 square plus X2 square. Next we are going to obtain the condition for maximum torque and the value of maximum torque. In order to obtain the condition for maximum torque, we will be finding the first derivative of torque with respect to the variable slip and equating it to 0. So we have already obtained the relation for torque with respect to slip, that is torque is equal to KSE2 square R2 divided by R2 square plus SX2 whole square. This is actually the torque under running condition. While taking its first derivative with respect to slip, we will be multiplying the denominator with the first derivative of numerator minus numerator into the first derivative of denominator divided by denominator square, and then we will be equating that term to 0. See, like this: denominator into first derivative of numerator minus numerator into first derivative of denominator, both are one and the same only, and then divided by denominator square. So while equating to 0, this denominator term gets vanished, and then simplifying it, we will be finally able to obtain the relation for S square as R2 square by X2 square. So from this it's very clear that when the value of slip is equal to R2 by X2, the torque or the relation for torque value will be maximum. So the condition for maximum torque is slip is equal to R2 by X2, or else we can say that when the value of rotor resistance is slip times that of the rotor reactance, the maximum torque will be developed in the machine. Now in order to find the value of this maximum torque, you have to just make the substitution of S is equal to R2 by X2 in this relation and solving it. While solving it, we will be able to obtain the relation for maximum torque as, see, instead of S, I have made the substitution R2 by X2 and I have solved it, and then I have obtained the final relation as K into E2 square by 2X2. So this is the relation for maximum torque, that is K E2 square by 2X2. This relation is obtained from the standard relation of torque, that is K E2 square R2 divided by R2 square plus Sx2 square, by making the substitution of slip as R2 by X2, because when slip is equal to R2 by X2, we will be able to obtain the maximum torque. That is a condition for maximum torque. We have obtained the derivation of the same. So it's very clear that from this relation, the maximum torque does not have any dependency on the rotor reactance, rotor resistance. So from this relation, it's very clear that the value of maximum torque is directly proportional to E2 square, where E2 is actually the rotor induced EMF under standstill condition, and the value of maximum torque is inversely proportional to the rotor reactance. It's very clear that the maximum torque does not have any dependency on the rotor resistance, whereas the slip corresponding to maximum torque is directly proportional to the rotor resistance. We have already obtained the derivation of the same, that is S is equal to R2 by X2 is the slip corresponds to maximum torque. So it's clear that the slip corresponds to maximum torque is the slip corresponds to maximum torque is having dependency with R2, whereas the maximum torque value does not have any dependency with the rotor resistance. The same points are mentioned in this slide also. Next we are going to obtain the torque slip characteristics of a 3-phase induction motor. This is a very important characteristics. As we have mentioned in the last class, the value of slip ranges from 0 to 1. The value of slip is 0 under starting condition or under standstill condition, whereas the value of slip is 1 under running condition and when the machine is running at synchronous speed, which is actually a fictitious aspect, because an induction motor will never run at synchronous speed. So we can say that the value of slip ranges from 0 to 1. We will be dividing this range into two parts. One is the value of slip varying from 0 to the slip corresponding to the maximum torque, that is S is equal to R2 by X2, and the other is the value of slip varying from slip corresponding to maximum torque, that is S is equal to R2 by X2 to 1. So this first region, that is S is equal to 0 to S is equal to Sm, that is slip corresponding to the maximum torque. This particular region is considered as low slip region, whereas the remaining portion, that is when the value of slip varying from Sm, that is slip corresponding to maximum torque, to slip is equal to 1, is considered as high slip region. Now if we are considering this torque relation in the low slip region, since the value of slip is very small and hence it is very much less than 1, we can easily neglect this term because the value of S square will be very, very small comparing with the R2 square term. So finally we will be left with the relation that torque is equal to K C2 square R2 divided by R2 square. We will be able to cancel one R2 from numerator and denominator also. So we can say that in the low slip region the torque is directly proportional to slip. So while plotting the characteristics between torque and slip in the low slip region, we will be getting a linear relation. See. Okay. Now consider the high slip region. High slip region is that particular region where the value of slip varies from S is equal to R2 by X2 to S is equal to 1. So here the value of slip is comparatively large comparing with the low slip region. So we just cannot neglect this term. So while considering this high slip region, the value of Sx2 square value comparing with R2 square is quite large. So we can neglect R2 square in this particular region of high slip. So in the denominator we will be left with the term S square x2 square. So while simplifying this relation, In high slip region, the s which is present in the numerator and 1s from the denominator gets cancelled, and finally we will be left with the term which is actually inversely proportional to slip. So in high slip region we can easily say that torque is inversely proportional to slip, whereas in low slip region torque is directly proportional to slip. Since in high slip region the torque is inversely proportional to slip, the characteristics which we will be obtaining is actually a rectangular rectangular hyperbola that we will be able to see here. When the value of slip is increasing in the high slip region, the value of torque keeps on decreasing. So this particular point is corresponding to the slip of maximum value 1. That is, the slip is having a maximum value of 1 under standstill condition or at starting position. So at this particular point the value of speed is 0, and the torque corresponding to this is said to be the starting torque. If you are considering this low slip region, in the low slip region the torque slip characteristics is almost linear. So if you are trying to increase the load on the induction motor, that is, if you are trying to increase the mechanical load on the induction motor, definitely the speed of the machine will get reduced. So when the speed of the machine gets reduced, the value of slip will increase. So if you are considering this as the initial operating point, and if you are trying to increase the load on the machine, then definitely the speed of the machine gets reduced, and the value of slip will be increased. So the new point of slip will be somewhere over here. So corresponding to this new point of slip, the new torque will be coming somewhere over here, and the new torque is that is, the new developed torque is definitely greater than that of the previous torque. So it's very clear that whenever we are trying to overload the machine, that overloading is being compensated by the increase in the developed torque under low slip region. See, I will explain it once more. Initially this was the operating point and the corresponding slip was this. So when I try to increase the load on the machine, that is, when I try to increase the load on the induction motor, definitely the speed on the induction motor gets reduced. So when the speed of the induction motor is getting reduced, from the value from the relation of slip, it's very clear that the value of slip also gets increased. So let us assume that the new value of slip is somewhere over here, and the corresponding developed torque will be definitely larger than the previous developed torque. So this large developed torque will compensate the increase in the mechanical load. Hence we say that this low slip region is actually a stable region. So we will fix the operating point of the induction motor anywhere in this stable region. And this high slip region or this rectangular hyperbola region is considered as a unstable region. The reason behind that is if we are trying to increase the load on the induction motor, definitely, just like what we said before, the speed of the induction motor will get reduced. So when the speed of the induction motor gets reduced, then definitely the value of slip also will increase. Suppose initially the operating point was somewhere over here, assume, and the corresponding slip is here. Now if you are trying to increase the load on the induction motor, that is, mechanical load on the induction motor is increased, means definitely the speed of the induction motor will get reduced. So since the speed of the induction motor is reduced, the value of slip will increase, and the new torque corresponding to the new value of increased slip will be somewhere over here. So from the characteristics, it's very clear that the new value of torque is less than that of the previous loaded condition. Since the value of torque has been reduced, it will be able to compensate the increase in the load torque. So simultaneously this process will go on, and this process will continue, and finally the machine will comes to the standstill condition. Hence we are saying that this high slip region is actually an unstable region. The explanation for the same is given in this slide.